Welcome back, everybody. Sarcasm Speaks. Jared and Bob here. Out of the gate, I get another opening thought similar to, well, it's not really similar to uh, what I opened with the last episode, but um, I do have an opening thought, and it is in regard to kind of something that broke the internet over the last couple of days, and it is Shohei Ohtani's contract. So for anyone that has no fucking idea who that is, um, Shohei Ohtani is arguably the best player in baseball right now. What makes him so special is that he's the first player in a very long time, probably almost 100 years, right? Like I can't imagine. Maybe guys in the 40s and 50s used to do it that I just don't know of. Um, but he is a professional baseball player that plays the field and also pitches and pitches very well. He's a starting pitcher, um, and has been in the running for both the Cy Young and the MVP award in the last few years, because he's that good, right? So he's not just a guy that does both. He's a guy that does both very well. So he's a free agent, right? He just left the uh, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, which is the dumbest fucking team name ever. They should have just stuck with the Anaheim Angels, but whatever. Um, he just left that team, went to free agency. There was all kinds of craziness to where he was going to go. He was super quiet, kept it under wraps. We don't have to get too deep into it, but there was a really funny story that there's a rumor, the rumors are circulating that his agents flew a plane to Toronto knowing that it would like people would track it and think that he was flying to Toronto to meet with the Blue Jays and sign with the Blue Jays, only to then turn around and sign with the LA Dodgers. Um, so again, I don't know if the rumors are true. If they are, that's fucking incredible. Um, because his agency is CAA. They're like one of the massive just agencies in the world, basically. They do athletes and um like entertainers too. So they're pretty big. They're like the Miller Gold agency, basically, if from Entourage. They're just fucking huge. Except not really, because Endeavor is really like Miller Gold because Ari Gold from that show is based off of Ari Emanuel, who owns the Endeavor agency. But same idea. It's a massive fucking agency. So if that's true, that's hilarious. Um, that they did it just to like fuck with people and then also use it as leverage against the Dodgers to get more money, being like, I don't know, he's on a plane to Toronto. You guys should probably hurry up and give us some negotiations here. Um, so all that aside, he signed not only the largest deal, like the largest contract value in baseball history, in all of sports history ever. Shohei Ohtani got a 10-year deal. This is what was reported at first. So it's a 10-year deal worth $700 million. That's right, $700 million. Almost three-quarters of $1 billion over 10 years. So to put that into context, the second largest contract in MLB history and also um, currently, right, was Mike Trout, who people might know who that is. He's probably the second best player in the MLB, which funny thing about Ohtani and Trout is they both played for the Angels and that team sucked. So do with that what you want. But Mike Trout signed a deal for $426.5 million. I believe his deal was over 12 years. So call it 427. 427 million was the biggest in the MLB until about 4 days ago when Shohei Ohtani signed a $700 million deal. Now, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head for the other sports, but I think the Pat Mahomes contract was pretty big. I know he got the biggest deal in NFL history. Let me see if I can pull it up really quickly as I'm talking. Um, Obviously my Wi-Fi is going to be retardedly slow right now and not work. So I don't know off the top of my head. Okay, here we go. He got 450 million. So he got 10 years and 450 million. So that was the biggest one. Did Joe Burrow get bigger? Why do I feel like Joe
No.
Burrow is making 50 million a year?
I pulled up the largest sports contracts. So it's Ohtani, then Messi, then Ronaldo. Um, for contract value, not average per year.
Okay.
Mahomes, Kareem Benzema.
Benzema. Yeah, he's a
That's
soccer player.
Trout, Canelo, Mookie, Aaron Judge, Manny Machado. And then we're not going past 10.
Okay, so Joe Burrow got a higher AAV, average annual value, for anyone out there that doesn't know what that is, than Mahomes, but Mahomes got a bigger overall deal. So Joe Burrow got 5 years at 275, and Mahomes got 10 years at 450. So technically, Joe Burrow makes more than Mahomes per year, um, but Mahomes got a bigger deal.
So per year, if you look at it, so it's 3 soccer players, then it's Canelo, Ohtani, then Giannis. Giannis makes 62. So per year, it starts to go to basketball because it's Ohtani, then Giannis, then Jaylen Brown, then Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns.
Right.
But
So,
noticeably missing from this list because we don't know John Rahm.
oh yeah,
Theoretically, he should be second,
yeah, yeah. You get 600 million.
even if it's 565, even if it's five.
Yeah. Why? What's
Oh,
Messi?
Messi. Sorry, Messi's probably over that. Messi's probably like 670.
Okay. So
Yeah. So okay. So I guess Rom would be fourth.
you'd be top five.
He would be like flirting with Ronaldo because it would just depend on did he get five? Did he get 565? Did he get 600? That would matter.
Right. Right. So the funny thing about this contract and why I bring it up and why I lead with it is because Twitter was broken. Everyone's brains were broken, including the baseball Twitter app, just everything, right? So it comes out 10 years, $700 million. Oh my God, that's insane. People talk about, they justify it because he plays both the field and is a Cy Young caliber starting pitcher, that it's basically like paying 35 million per year per player, right? Like you're getting Ohtani the fielder for 35 million a year and Ohtani the pitcher for 35 million a year, which makes a lot more sense when you look at it that way. Um, Except for the fact that he just had his second Tommy John surgery of his life, so he's not pitching, right? That next season in 2024, he's not pitching at all. He might only actually DH for the Dodgers because I don't think he's going to be able to play the outfield and throw the ball in the outfield that much. So that aside, right? That was the justification for it. Then there was this one little piece of information that came out that Shohei Ohtani's contract, although it is a 10-year deal, there is deferred money for 10 years following the conclusion of the deal. So for anyone that's not familiar with sports, baseball does this from time to time where they defer money. Like Manny Ramirez was still getting paid from the Red Sox until like I think 2 years ago or something like that. Um, World famous Bobby Bonilla Day is July 1st of every year. Bobby Bonilla played for the Mets in like the 80s or 90s, whenever the fuck it was. Um,
We still have 12 more years of Bobby
yeah,
Bonilla Day.
yeah. And they gave him such a massive deal and then they cut him. And they deferred all of his money. Like every year he gets $1 million for, I think it ended up being like
It's 20
36
it's
years.
2011 to 2035.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's 26 years.
Yep. Yep. I knew it was somewhat like close to 30 years. So they deferred $680 million over 10 years following the 10 years of the contract. So if you do some quick math, that shows that for the first 10 years of his deal, while he is contracted to play for the LA Dodgers, he will be making $2 million per year. And then he's released from his contract after 10 years. However, the 10 years following that, the Dodgers still owe him $680 million, which is comes out to be $68 million a year for 10 years. So everyone is flipping out, right? People are saying, fuck this, it's bad for baseball, it's ruining the game, it's all this stuff, whatever. And to which I say, you're just pissed because it's not your team, right? Like if you were a Dodgers fan, you'd be like, oh yeah, no, that's a great idea. If he signed with the Red Sox and did the exact same deal, all the people around Boston would be like, oh my God, the Red Sox are geniuses. Craig Breslow's a fucking genius. Thank God we hired him and not,
Wait, is he the GM,
yeah,
the former
he is.
closer,
Yes.
or the
Craig,
relief
that,
pitcher?
yeah, that Craig Breslow. Yeah. Um, so that's what it is, right? Because they've been doing this forever. Like I said, Manny Ramirez got his contract deferred. Bobby Bonilla, like it had, those are just the big ones that we know of because they were super famous, right? I'm sure there's been,
Betts has got 120
yeah,
deferred.
Betts has deferred money, right? Like, you know, it's common in baseball. It happens all the time. So for people to like get all fucking panties in a bunch about this, it's just dumb. It's because it's not your team, right? It's not the team that you root for.
It's also not as simple as, oh, well, it's only 2 million, because whatever the competitive balance tax is,
That's the luxury tax.
so the luxury tax, as far as the luxury tax is concerned, his payroll hit is 46 million every year.
46 million. Yeah. Yep.
So
That's
it's
what he
not
counts towards the tax.
so it's not like they've shedded him completely almost.
Right. Right. So if, again, for people that aren't familiar with baseball, baseball doesn't have a salary cap like other sports. Like I mean, the NBA is that's a fake cap. But the NFL and the NHL have a hard cap that you can't spend over. Baseball has a luxury tax line. So there is no salary cap in baseball, but if you go over a certain amount, you have to pay a penalty to the league, which then takes that money and redistributes it to the other teams in the league
That didn't go over,
that
right?
didn't go over. Yeah. So it's a
Robin Hood.
competitive balancing. Yeah. Yeah. So um he still counts, right? He still counts as 46 million as far as the luxury tax goes. So then you get the fucking dum-dums like Ben Volen, who I tweeted at, and he goes, "Why would Ohtani agree to this?" And I replied, let me stand by. Let me pull up my reply so I get it correct.
He sucks.
Ben Volen is a dum-dum. So I replied to him and I go, this has to be a troll, right? And then I list out 3 bullet points. The first one, he can skirt having to pay California state taxes, which in total deductions would end up costing him about 52% of his salary. Because before the details of the contract came out, I saw someone, I forget who it was, but it was someone who's like a beat reporter or something like that, was like, oh, if he makes $70 million a year after taxes and deductions and everything, he'll actually take home like 33 million or 34 million, whatever it was. So he would lose more than 50% of his yearly earning if he had just taken the 10 years and 70 million because he lives in California from, whatever the state income tax and the federal income tax and, Social Security and Medicare, all kinds of whatever, a millionaire tax, which I'm sure they have in California, like we do in Massachusetts, like all that dumb shit would have cost him 52% of his salary every year. So he skirts that, right? Because the 10 years that he's in LA, in California, he only has to pay state tax on the $2 million a year instead of the 70. And then once he finishes his contract, he can retire and move to Florida or move to Texas or leave the country, right? And then he doesn't have to pay California state tax on the $68 million a year. So that's bullet point number one. Number two, he makes roughly $40 million per year in endorsements. So he doesn't need that $2 million a year in salary. Doesn't give a fuck about that. Because that was the other thing. Because some people were like, oh, why would you only ever want to make $2 million when you have this and that? And it's like, he makes $40 million a year in endorsements. And I'll get to those bobos.
I love that logic. Why would you only want to make this? He's making 700 million.
Yes. So I'll get there too, because I went at it with some people on Twitter. So the third bullet point, it frees up the team to get more players and to spend more money, which is true because he only counts for $46 million on towards the luxury tax, not 70. So that's theoretically what, $24 million that they could spend on another player, right? That they basically got back. So, and then I go pick one or all of them because Ben Volin's a fucking dum-dum again. I can't stand that guy. Why would Ohtani want to do that? Why would he agree to that? Because he doesn't need the money. He's deferring the money. He's smart. So then back to the second bullet point. This is where people's brains start to break. And you get the fucking bobos and everyone's a fucking financial analyst. And, oh, I went to school for finance and I have a degree in finance. And this is this and this is that. So I get a bunch of people that come at me and go, well, he still has to pay federal tax regardless. Like, well, yeah, no shit. But now his California tax is, I think the state income tax is 13%. So now he pays the 13% on 2 million instead of 70. Like, just people just didn't get it. So then he goes, so then there was this one guy in particular, and he goes, that's a bad deal because that's money wasted because you want the money now, not the money in the future. Money now, you can invest the money now and it'll be more. And I went back to him and I go, yeah, but if he invests the money in the future, wouldn't it theoretically increase, right? If you play the game of the stock market increases on average 7% every year for whatever, right? Over the course of 20 years, he could just invest that money in the future.
So I'll give that guy that one because the way compound interest is, the earlier you get in, the earlier you get out.
Right. So, I know, I understand that, but he can take the $40 million that he makes in endorsements and invest that.
Correct. And I know it's not 68. So by the stock market math, it's fine. But what do they consider normal inflation? 3% a year?
Yeah.
So with normal inflation, do I have this backwards or not? With normal inflation, it's really only like if the stock market did do 7, which that's a good year.
Right.
Even wouldn't inflation do 3? So really the stock market only does 4 for you.
Right. Right.
Or unless I have it backwards, in which case it would be 11.
No, I think you're right.
Okay.
Because money becomes less valuable over time due to inflation, right? Like a dollar today is worth not a dollar next year.
Oh, okay. So I did have it backwards. Yeah. So, I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I understand the compound interest thing, but the compound interest thing is very important for people that are not going to receive $68 million in cash over a 10-year span.
Yes.
Because then, frankly, he doesn't need to invest a fucking dime if he doesn't want to.
Right. Right. So this is
Like,
where
he
like
could be Scrooge McDuck diving in a pool of fucking gold coins.
yeah. Yeah. So this is where the Twitter war began because then
But
other people started jumping in on this one guy and my fucking Twitter notifications were exploding last night. Um so that's what this one guy goes, you make it out like this is smart. He could have taken less money and invested it. The dollar is worth less and less as time goes on with inflation. My guess is he wasn't getting as high of offers as he expected. This one guy replied and goes, he got $700 million. No matter how you slice it up, he's getting $700 million.
yeah, that's
So
it.
what do
It's
you mean he
not.
wasn't getting offers that he expected? This is the biggest contract in the history of sports. And the guy goes, he quite literally doubled the market. Like, and this guy goes, the tax efficiency of this deal is good for him. But like that one line, imagine being like, my guess is he wasn't getting as high of offers as he expected. He has the biggest contract in sports history.
They sent a fake plane to Toronto to make sure he got the number he wanted.
Right. That's insane. So this one guy comes back and he goes, this is where things get asinine. And this is what happens when you argue with people on Twitter. He goes, I'll pay you 70 grand a year, but you get 68 of it starting in 10 years. Sound like a great deal? Even if you have money already, it's not ideal. If you were offered 60 grand a year and got it starting the first year, this would be a viable option. So I replied to him and I go, hey, man, I totally understand where you're coming from with your argument, but that's not even close to what's actually happening.
No,
If
because you
if
took
you
it.
move, yes, and I go, if you move the goalpost and say it's 70K instead of 700 million, you're right. It becomes an awful deal. But the fact remains
It's
it's
700
700 million with 2 million a year, not 2K. Right? Like if you just come at, if you're just going to make up numbers at that point, like, oh, I'll give you $70,000, but I'm only going to give you two now, and I'll give you 68 in 10 years. Yeah, that's a stupid fucking deal.
The other thing too,
But this is $700 million. It's not $70,000.
So this is the only, and I don't know the answer to this. I don't know how deferred money works, but do they have to put that in escrow?
I don't know. I don't know the specifics and the ins and outs of it.
I don't know how baseball works because I know it. So in the NFL,
They do for the signing bonuses,
you
the
have to
guaranteed
put
money.
the signing bonuses in escrow
Right.
because if you're going to dole it out, you need to remove it from your bank account
Right.
for the NFL. So if they move money to escrow and it garners interest, do they get the money plus interest? Because when you rent an apartment and they take a security bonus or a security from you, they have to return the security with
Interest. Yeah.
And I think that's technically, I guess it's not technically escrow. Kind of is escrow because then the money doesn't belong to anyone specifically. So I don't know. I wonder, do they have to take the 6.8? No, 680. Yep.
Yeah.
Do they have to take the 680? Do they have to put that aside? Maybe not, because baseball contracts are fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but here's the deal, though. So the Dodgers, they could do that. They could put. I mean, they're probably not just giving up $500 million in cash.
Yeah.
But they
I don't know if
themselves
they
could,
have that liquid, right? I'm
no,
sure they
not
have
liquid.
something close, right? But
But I was gonna say they could start like a fund where it's like, move a little money here, garner some interest, whatever. Eventually he gets his money too.
right, right,
I don't know. I mean, it's like, because this is the thing is like everyone wants like, well, when the financial experts come out, they want to use a formula. And the only thing that trumps formulas is the gross or the absolute number. And I think that's the problem because people are like, oh, well, he could have got more if he took it all lump sum and invested it. Yeah. Or if he's getting 45, 40, 45 in endorsements plus the two, plus he's in the dot. Now he's with the Dodgers. He ain't with the Angels. He can probably make more money that way too.
right.
The gross, like, forget percentages. The gross number is just so fucking astronomical. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, yeah, and because then people were like, "Well, inflation, like 68 million in what is it, 20? So through 2033, so 2034 starts the first payment of the 68 million, and people are like, yeah, well, with inflation, it's 68 million is going to be less than that. It's worth less. Okay, what is it, 64 million? Like I don't know inflation numbers, right? Like uh,
Well,
at
so
the
the
end of
other
the
thing
day,
too,
like he's still making hundreds of millions of dollars by the end of his deal.
right. And then also some people are gonna do the math on 680, and it's like, no, it's not 680. It's 68 this year,
Right.
and then 68 next year.
Right.
Because that's the other thing. The reason that the luxury tax number is 46 is that value. If they had to pay that on day one, that's a $460 million contract.
Yeah.
Guess what? They account for fucking inflation.
Yeah.
Because this is Major League Baseball. I guarantee you their numbers people are better than fucking Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what it was. Like people start replying and be like, well, I went to school for finance. I can't find the reply, but someone replied and goes, I went to school for finance and they taught us that money now is better than money in the future because of inflation. And it's like, hey man, if you want to like start throwing your degree in my face, like that doesn't mean dick. Like, cool, you went to school for finance. Awesome, man. Like, the
Already
people that
accounted
teach
for.
college courses are fucking old as Methuselah, right? They teach shit from the 70s. We know that for a fact. Like, it, and also, not for nothing, but this is another thing to think about. Um, the people that go to school for finance and that like their world is in finance, they want you to give them your money,
Yep.
right? Like a financial analyst is going to tell you,
Yep.
oh yeah, no, you want that money now because then you can give it to me and I'll manipulate it and I can
Yeah.
do this and I can do that. They want your money because that's how they make money. They take a draw of whatever the money is, and that's how they get
Yep.
paid, right? And it's like obviously someone's job that is to take your money and theoretically grow it so then they can make more money is going to tell you that money now is better than money in the future.
And that's the other thing too, though. But like money now versus money in the future, that only works when we're talking about a finite sum of money.
Right.
And again, he's not getting it all now.
Right.
You'd have to get it over the 10 years. Fine.
Right.
But that's like some of the people that go, oh, do you want to take a lump sum now or would you like whatever percent? Usually the answer is the percent or it's whatever.
Right.
Because like a lot of like you heard about like some of those Nike deals where it's like, do you want 100K or do you want 1% of the company? I'll take the 100K now. And it's like, that was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, would you rather have, that's the thing. Like, so take like, would you rather have 50K? Like, would you rather have 50K today? Or would you rather have $1,000 over 50 years? You want the 50K because
Right.
the number isn't so high that you like it becomes irrelevant.
Right.
And yes, the 50K will grow better than 1K per year.
Right.
With you. Deal. Like all you financial graduates,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
You're applying regular people logic to fucking
To stupid
unfathomable
numbers.
right? Like,
To numbers that truly,
yeah,
really, actually don't fucking matter.
yeah, yeah. $700 million. Again, almost $750 million.
And if he
That
makes
guy doesn't give a
40
fuck about the 50 grand scenario, right?
and
Like,
if he makes 40 in endorsements for those 10 years that he's in LA, we're talking about $1.1 billion.
yeah,
Dude, what the fuck is he going to do with 1.1 billion?
yeah.
What the fuck would you do with 1.1 billion?
I have no idea.
I wouldn't even know where to start.
I would buy a lot of shit, that's for sure.
It's like,
Think about like if you had $1 billion, right? Like I think about this from time to time, right? Whenever it comes up, like when Taylor Swift became a billionaire, like when they announced that people become a billionaire, it's like you can go and purchase a $50 million house on like a piece of land, whatever, like all together, it's $50 million. That is absurd. That is an absurd amount of money to
stupid.
pay for a house on a piece of land, right? We can agree there.
It's
$50
like
million
it's like two houses at fucking Pebble Beach.
is 5% of your
Yeah.
net worth. If you have $1 billion, that is 5%. That's nothing. That's the equivalent of if you make $100,000 a year or you're worth $100,000, you can buy a massive, huge mansion for 5 grand. That's the equivalent, right? Like that's what $50 million is to someone who's a billionaire. It's 5 grand to someone who makes or is worth $100,000, which is even different, right? Because someone who's worth $100,000, you don't make $100,000 a year. Right.
No.
So like think about that. You probably make less than $100,000 and that's 5 grand. That's the equivalent of like, again, the billionaire
Stupid.
buying a stupid house for 50 million bucks.
Absolutely stupid.
Yeah. Like that's wild, right? Like what Tom Brady's house on the country club, didn't that sell for like 20 million?
I don't remember. I know it was like listed high. I don't know what it ended up selling for.
Yeah. Like what is the most expensive real estate in the country, right?
I don't know.
Like the Playboy Mansion, like how much is the
What's
Playboy
Michael
Mansion
Jordan's
worth?
compound? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, let's look it up. Let's see how much the Playboy Mansion is worth.
I
Playboy
don't know
Mansion
if that's
worth.
gonna be it though.
Yeah, because I don't think it's actually that big. $54 million. There it is. You could buy the Playboy Mansion if you're a billionaire. You have $1 billion. You could buy the Playboy Mansion for 5% of your wealth. That's wild. That's like that's when you hear about like fuck, who's the dude from Oracle? Larry Ellison. Um, and like all of these people, like a Jeff Bezos. I don't know if Bill Gates does, but he might. I wouldn't be surprised. But when you hear about these type of people and the news comes out that they bought an island, like they literally just purchased an island, like that's that kind of wealth, right? There, and I know those guys are in the tens and hundreds of billions, right? Like I don't think Larry Ellison is in the hundreds of billions, but he's definitely in the billions. Um, he bought Lanai, I think. I think he owns the island of Lanai in Hawaii. He just owns the island. Like, oh, sick. And I think Jeff Bezos bought an island too somewhere. Maybe like the French Riviera or some stupid bullshit like that. Like when you get into that type of wealth, your money now versus money deferred argument is fucking trivial.
Stupid.
Yeah, but I'm going to pay you 70 grand, but I'll give you two grand now and 68 in 10 years. Dude, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not even close. That's not even apples and oranges either. That's like fucking kumquats and granite. Like it's just not even close. So yeah,
Craziness.
that's Shohei Ohtani for you. And that was the Twitter eruption last night. So there you have it. Speaking of real estate, wow, we've had a lot of really good segues lately. I'm proud of us and our ability to segue. Um, there has been an interesting bill proposed in Congress by the Democrats, um, which, for one, right, like I know we spend a lot of time shitting on Democrats. We do also shit on Republicans, but just because of the way the times are right now, we spend a majority of our time shitting on the Democrats. But let's not get it twisted. Like I say always, they both suck, right? However, the Democrats actually did something that I agree with. They're trying to pass, right? They've proposed and they've put together a bill to remove hedge funds from the housing market. So anyone out there that is trying to buy a house or has tried to purchase a house in the last couple of years, you may have run into the issue of like everything is wicked fucking expensive. And some of that is inflation, yes, that we talked about, whatever. I know inflation has been super high um, since COVID, but what it really is supply and demand, right? So it's not it's a it's a combination of a lot of things, right? It is a little bit of inflation. It is a lot of bit of the supply and demand. Um, it's other things as well. It's interest rates. It's, people's ability or inability to forecast the future, right? If they think the country's going to go to shit, they're less likely to sell their house. It's a lot of factors, right, that are going on. But one of the major factors is supply and demand. So if you talk to anyone who's a real estate agent, they will tell you that just the volume of houses on the market is the lowest it's ever been. No one is selling their house right now. One of Amy's friend's sisters is a real estate agent in Rhode Island. And I think it's not this year, but I think in 2022, the sister said that it was the lowest amount of homes on the market in like 15 years or something like that, probably since 08, 09, if I had to guess. Um, that time period, the last crash. So they're just not there, right? So because of that, to go back to high school economics class, supply and demand, as supply decreases, even if demand stays the same and doesn't increase, the prices are going to go up, right? If there's less stuff available and the demand is still there, the price is going to go up because you have more people trying to purchase the commodity, right? Or whatever it is, and there's less of that available. So you're going to be able to get more money for it. So that in part has driven up the housing prices across the country. Again, much to the chagrin of people our age, right, and younger, who are trying to buy houses, because that's typically the age, uh, somewhere in your 20s and 30s when you're trying to buy a house. And that's the thing right now. Everyone's like, oh, I can't do it. Maybe I can afford a house when I'm 50, right? That's the joke. So part of the reason, again, with the supply and demand, the underlying reason is that hedge funds. So these massive, massive corporations that are worth tens or hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, right, have realized that they can make a ton of money in the real estate market. So I don't know typically what a hedge fund does. I mean, they know, I do know, like, have a general idea. They work mostly in the stock market, right? With stocks. You give them money, they invest it, they manage your money, they grow it, ideally. And it's not, Enron and Bernie Madoff that just disappears with your money. Ideally, they grow it, you get more money, you can retire, all that fun, happy horse shit, right? Well, somewhere along the way, they realized and decided that why don't we just start buying houses? And then, so there's two ways that they make money. They buy houses. They have the capital, right? Because they manage people's money. They have, again, tens, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars that they manage. So they have the capital to go in and buy a house, right? Like, let's just keep it local, right? Let's say Massachusetts. There's a house in Massachusetts right now that's probably worth $400,000 on the market that 15 years ago would probably be 250, right? It's
What a shithole it must
and you
be.
go and you go in and it probably needs a whole new kitchen. It's got an outdated bathroom. It's got carpet through the house. It might still have wood paneling on the wall or wallpaper. It needs a lot of work. But because of today's day and age, it's $400,000 on the market because that's just what the market is right now. Well, someone like you or I, or average people, might not really be able to afford it. Or you can afford the house, but then you got to live in a shitty house, right? Like that's the conundrum that people are in. You can afford the shitty house, or you can't afford like the nice one, but you can afford the shitty one, but then you can't afford the upgrades or all the upgrades you need, right? It's a catch 22 that you get stuck in. But a company like BlackRock can go in and be like, oh, you want $400,000 for this house? Yeah, I'll give you 400,000 cash. I'll write you a check today. And then I'll go in and I'll spend $75,000, and I meaning the entity, right? I'll go in and spend $75,000 in renovations. And then I will turn around and list the house for 600. And now your $475,000 investment now gets sold at a profit of $125,000.
So all you're really telling me is that the hedge funds got into a loop of watching HGTV.
Yes. Yes, they did. So then
Flip
also,
flip this house.
yeah, yeah, flip this house.
Maybe
So
they've been
the
watching Bob Vila.
the other thing they
This old
do,
house. My father used to watch that.
I used to love that show. My dad used to watch that too. I follow Bob Vila on Instagram actually. Um, I think he's local. Shout out to Bob Vila, local guy.
Bob, why don't you come on the show
Yeah,
sometime?
he's probably like fucking
You can
90.
teach us how to be actual men.
um, so the other thing they did was they started purchasing houses and then keeping them because they realized, right, that yeah, the flipping house business is cool. It's lucrative. You
Oh,
can go
keeps
in
them
and
off
make a
the
lot of money,
market.
but then they would just buy the houses and just hold on to them.
Hey, those hedge fund pussies aren't that? They're not stupid.
They're not stupid. There are a lot of things, but stupid is not one of them. That's for sure. So you have companies again like BlackRock that come in and purchase the houses. They can either, like I said, they can either flip it for a profit or they can hold on to it, which reduces the supply, right? And drives up the cost of all the houses for everyone else, which means regular people can't afford it, but they still can. So what do? They buy up enough properties and then the demand is so high, they go, oh, do you still want to live in this house though? And people go, well, yeah, we want that house. And BlackRock goes, well, I'll rent it to you. So you could just pay me rent to live in this house, right? So you can live in a single family house. You get the house that you want, but it's perfect, right? It's a perfect deal for you. And this is how they pitch it. You don't have to spend $600,000 on a mortgage to live in this beautiful home. You can just pay us, 2,500 bucks a month and you can live in the house. We'll rent it to you. So now that's the big thing, right? That's what a lot of people are doing. They're renting single family homes because they can't afford to purchase a home. So BlackRock is making money on both ends, right? They're making money by flipping, and they're also making money by buying the houses that other people can't afford, or people can't afford them, but the seller, you're gonna, as a seller of a house, you're gonna go with the sure thing, right? Like if with us going through the process not that long ago, right? Like our real estate agent went through each person on the list that made the offer. Like this offer comes from these two people. They're married. This is what they do. Whatever, they're going to put down this much. This is what they have. Like we got all of that information from our real estate agent. Like if she came to us and goes, yeah, this person doesn't need financing. They're just going to write a check for $400,000 and we can get the paperwork signed and done in a week. You go with that. Like that's just what you do, right? You don't have to deal with a bank that like the people, the poor schmucks on the other end that have to get approved for the mortgage and go through their whole process, which takes time. Nope. This massive company that manages hundreds of millions of dollars can just come in and write you a check. And then all you have to do is sign on the dotted line and the house is sold. Right? You don't have to, again, you don't have to worry about the people getting approved, get denied, right? And it's like, oh shit, the bank didn't approve their loan. Well, I guess we have to go to the next offer. And then you go through the same fucking thing with that. And then it's, well, they brought in their own home inspector and their home inspector didn't like this and that, and they want this and they want that. No, again, BlackRock doesn't give a fuck. They just want the house and they're going to write you a check. So I can't fault people, right? If you're selling a house to sell it to a hedge fund. But this is the situation we've got ourselves in. And now that was a long-winded I was just getting everyone up to speed on the current situation of the housing market. So the Democrats, they did a good thing, right? They're trying to pass legislation that would remove hedge funds from purchasing and owning houses across the country. So it started in the Senate. So a bill was introduced in the Senate by Democrats that would require hedge funds to sell off their single family homes in the next 10 years. So I think it's specific to single family homes, which, okay, fine. Like they can still own multi-tenant units, right? And whatever they end up being, whether it's a 2-3 family or a building, maybe they get into, apartment buildings and things like that. But this is specific to single family homes. And so not only would it require them to sell off their single family homes over the next 10 years, it would prohibit them from owning any single family homes at all, ever. So, and it's called this is hilarious. Could think of this. So it's called End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act of 2023. It's like, sometimes in Congress, you guys come up with some fucking catchy shit, right? Like the Patriot Act, right? Like you fucking hid so much weird, goofy shit in the Patriot Act, right? And it's all these things and surveillance and all that, whatever. And the best thing you could come up with this was the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act of 2023.
It's almost like the Derek Zoolander Center for kids who want to learn to read good and do other stuff good too.
That's literally what it is. What is this? A center for ants? Like, come on, just get a better name for it. But alas, like I said, I do think it's a good idea. I support this idea and what they're actually doing. And again, I try and be fair and call it down the middle. Like I said before, I know we shit on Democrats quite a bit, but I'll give them the win on this one. I will say that I actually agree with them. I think this is a good move, right? And I think it's important too that it's specific to single family homes, right? Because people can be landlords, right? Like you can like anyone can be a landlord of a multi-tenant building. Like you just buy the building or the 3-family house, 2-family house, whatever it might be, and you can rent it out. That's fine. Like I'm okay. If hedge funds want to get into that market, whatever. I might be kicking the can down the road, but whatever. At least it's not
They
single
won't,
family
you know what
homes.
though? They won't though, because the same as it's not the same as the housing market.
It's a different it's a different kind of person.
And it's also a more traditional operation.
Right.
Like,
The type of person that's going to pay BlackRock to rent a single family home isn't the same type of person that's going to pay to rent the second floor of
no,
a 3-family
no, it's not
house,
even, it's
right?
not, but, and then it's not worth the hedge fund's time to have a 3-family house or have multi tenants,
Right.
because yes, they own the property, but then you're doing like traditional landlord bullshit. Like if
Right.
traditional landlord bullshit was so good for hedge funds, they would have been doing it hundreds of years ago
Right.
or
Right.
whenever this like became a thing.
Yeah.
It's the single family standalone, own the house, like it's that aspect
Yeah.
that kind of changes it. And even like if they bought like an apartment building, like there's rules now. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like what they're doing is exploiting a hole in the market. Like them buying a building or a 2, 3, 4 family, that's just the fucking game. They ain't
Right.
doing that.
Right.
There's no exploitation.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. I think this is a good move. I doubt it's going to pass, right? So later in this article, I got the article from Business Insider. Um, I saw it on Twitter first, and then I found it on Business Insider. Um, so they say while the Senate bill has hedge fund in the title, the worst title ever, it appears to be targeting any large investor. So the language defines.
Oh, yep. There we go. I'm
So
out.
well, no. So this wait, let me finish.
No,
The
I will not.
language defines hedge fund taxpayer as any applicable entity with $50 million or more in net value or assets under management. So they define a hedge fund as anything that has $50 million or more in management, in asset management.
I know small time landlords that have more than that. So, no, I'm out.
But a small time landlord that owns commercial real
Buildings.
estate or
Both.
single family homes
Both.
that rents to people.
Both. They have buildings, they have commercial properties, they have multi-unit apartments, they have 2 families, they have single families, they got everything.
Well, under this, they'd be able to keep all of it except for the single families.
Yep, I'm out. Keep it to the hedge. Either keep it to the hedge funds, because this is my thing though.
Well, because you have to
The
draw the line somewhere, right? And they drew the line at $50 million in assets. Like,
Yeah,
where do you put the line? $100 million?
my line is the type of business. Because
Well,
like every
that's
so
what you can't do that because that gets fucking sketchy. Because then
okay.
companies can just brand themselves as something different. Oh, I'm not a hedge fund.
Yeah,
I do I
so
do something else.
it's not that easy though, because if you're a hedge fund, you need to be a fucking hedge fund, or else you can't accept people's money.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
true.
can't be a hedge fund unless you're a hedge fund.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is if you are, say, um, like the gym could buy a house tomorrow.
Right.
Like we could buy an apartment and rent it out and take that income.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with it right now. Now, we don't meet that threshold. We're under the threshold, so we're
Oh, you
good.
don't make
Like
$50 million a
we do
year.
not, unfortunately. It must be 49. So we're under the threshold anyway, so it's fine.
Right.
But if you like when you because that's the thing too, when you create a business, you need to create your primary business category. So if you say hedge fund or investment bank or any financial institution that theoretically has like crazy liquid cash that could exploit this rule, then they would be out, in my opinion.
Right. Okay. So yeah, if you can define it in a way
By
that makes
business type.
sense.
It,
Yeah.
it would go by business type, because then, like, the people that I'm thinking of, they are property owners, property management company, real estate. Like, they are all something because that's their category, so that therefore they can get the correct approvals to the, because that's another thing. Like,
Well, I
as
wonder, I don't know this, right? I don't know really how this works, but could a hedge fund create a business
I
under
think they
its
could do that
umbrella?
anyway.
They can create a business under its umbrella that's a property management
I
business, right?
believe that would be their loophole. So even if this
Yeah,
did pass,
right.
I believe if they really wanted it,
So that's where the number come that the hard line number comes in at 50 million. So maybe if it was 100 million, I'd feel better, right? Like that's where you draw the line. But because people like if you just do by business type, there's loopholes, right? There's always a loophole. But
yeah.
if you draw the line at a number, it's kind of hard to loophole a number unless you create multiple businesses, right? Like, I mean, you
Well,
could
that's what
do
they would
this
do.
if you would take the time, right?
But
Like
this is the thing, like,
BlackRock would have to come up with like 5,000 companies that work underneath it that are property managements that all have their asset management value under the threshold.
they
I
might
mean,
be able to do it
it's a
anyway.
really fucking pain in the ass, but they could probably do it.
Yeah, truthfully, again, I don't know exactly all the legalities of it. They might be able to do it anyway. Like,
Yeah.
even if it did pass.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if it's, BlackRock Co. is the legal business, they might have like BR property.
Right.
And it's like, oh well, our assets are only 40 million. It's like, wait, but who owns you? Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's where it starts getting iffy.
Right.
And BlackRock could then turn around and be like, well, yeah, no, we're the hedge fund. That's a property management company. We just bought that. We just bought them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they already exist. It's like, oh God, here we go. And that's like, so that's like part of my problem. Like, I don't think hedge funds should be buying single family houses, but if they really want to, they'll always find a way to. Like that, I think that's my, like,
Yeah.
my cynicism or my reality moment. So, like, yeah, go ahead, put it in legislate, like, go ahead, like, try to push it along. Like, I think it's a good thing. Um, my other question is, do they have to sell their assets now?
No, they have 10 years to do it.
Yeah, fine. Because I also don't like that. I also don't like forced sales, but
Yeah, I don't really like that either.
I don't love that.
But
That probably wouldn't get through. I think what it would end up happening is they would probably end up selling on their own anyway, because they don't want to hold these houses forever.
right.
And God forbid if there is like a market crash, then they're sitting there like, oh fuck.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, so
I'm for it, but I'm not. I don't know. Some of the details ain't right.
yeah, and I think it's a good start, right? Like I'm for the idea. I'm glad like they even say in the article that it's not going to pass.
Good.
Let me
Great.
see. The bill is unlikely to pass in a divided Congress, but lawmakers have insisted that the conversation needed to be started, which I agree with. Like they need to figure something out, right? Like
Yeah, because
if this is the initial proposal and no one's going to agree to it, well, maybe the one that everyone can agree upon is something better.
I also think the states might have to start looking at zoning, because between Airbnb and bigger companies buying shit up,
Yeah.
it is like creating a little bit of an issue
Right.
where people can't buy.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell people to leave, but like, that's going to be kind of like, not, you're not going to be telling them to leave, but they're not going to have really much of a choice in some places.
Yeah.
You might have to look at zoning like, this is only for home ownership, period. Done. Like, or full-time home ownership, period, done. Like that's it.
Right. So in this article, they say, according to Core Logic, I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's some research company. But according to Core Logic, investors accounted for 26% of all single family home purchases in June. So in the month of June, investment companies bought 26% of all single family homes. That's up from pre-pandemic levels that were below 20.
Yeah.
So median home prices are up 38% from 2019.
Cool.
Yeah. The median home price in the country today is $431,000.
That's adorable.
Yeah. That's just throughout, that's of
Well,
course
it's the country,
across
I
the
know,
country.
but that's just
That's
it's just cute.
right. Right.
From a guy in the Northeast,
Well, that's what I mean. Like a
that's an adorable number.
$431,000 house in Massachusetts is a fixer upper.
Pretty much.
That's a fixer. That's like I said 10, 15 years ago was you could get it for like 275. And now it's
Stupid.
430.
Stupid.
430 and you got to invest another 100,000 to make it what you make it good, nice, right? What you want.
At whatever the fuck percent too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fucking unreal.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah. But I think, like I said, it's this legislation is potentially a step in the right direction. We'll see where it goes. Um, but I don't know. At least people are willing to have the conversation. I think that's a huge win.
Maybe you can go state by state.
Yeah.
No, whatever.
I mean, theoretically, right? Like it should, right? If you stick to the whole like federalism, right? And how that works, like states' power should be greater than the federal power, right? Like it's just my thoughts in general, right? Of that, like smaller federal government. Um, it should go state by state. Maybe Massachusetts will enact something, right? Like that's kind of how this shit works, right? Like it takes someone putting it on the floor of Congress for everyone to be like, nah, I'm not voting for that, right? Like you were for the bill until you saw the $50 million threshold
Yep.
of assets, right? And everyone's like, nah, fuck that. But now everyone is aware of the issue, and you might turn around and go write your own bill to propose that's a little bit different. And then the guy from fucking Oregon might write a bill that's kind of similar but a little bit different. And then eventually over time it fucking gets put together and it's something that's theoretically better. And then in the meantime, right, while the federal government's trying to figure it out, a state like Massachusetts might just come out and be like, yeah, we're going to enact something at the state level anyway, which is how um it's how the health insurance thing worked, right? Because everyone was going on for universal health care forever, right? But in 2004, I think, when Mitt Romney was the governor, he created universal health care for the state of Massachusetts. So, right, it was like a nationwide federal issue. But then at the state level, Massachusetts was like, yeah, we'll just create that for Massachusetts only.
He cost me so much fucking money from age 26 to fucking 33. Fuck him.
But
Fuck
then
that.
eventually with Obama, he was able to, work with Congress and pass it at the federal level, which is why when all of that was going on, everyone in Massachusetts was like, yeah, it doesn't matter. We've had this already for like 10 years.
7 fucking years.
So it
Fuck
didn't
that.
it didn't really affect us, right? The Obamacare thing. So you could do the same thing with this housing stuff.
Well, it's gonna have to happen here, New York, California, whatever, first. Anyway.
It's going to be what the desirable places, right? Like the
Yeah.
desirable states to live in. It's going to be up to their state government to do something. And considering that people are running away from New York and California at fucking, rates that have never been seen before. It might be up to Massachusetts to do something.
Oh, good. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
It's good. It was a
Yeah.
good talk. It was a good thought. Good to know it's fucking dead in the water.
Yep. Yep. So, uh, all right. Well, you want to wrap this up? It's about that time.
We can wrap this up. Um, so before it gets too far away, a couple weeks ago, we had our tasting for the wedding. So our
Yes.
venue, um, they do all the food in house. So we just went to the venue. We didn't have to interview multiple caterers and go to multiple
What
whatevers.
are you gonna do for me?
Dude, seriously, like some people have said that. It's almost like, well, who's actually gonna be there that day?
Yeah.
Well, it won't be me. It's like, well, who is it gonna be?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we didn't have to deal with caterers. Our venue handles it. So all we had to do was select the food. Now, I may have mentioned this on the show before, but I pulled up a menu at one point and I go, I've got it. I've picked the menu. And Michaela was like, well, we still have to go. I go, no. We do. We'll go. Like, no problem. I'm not saying we don't have to go. Like, it's food. What do I care?
Yeah, I'll go eat food.
And I go, I know what it's gonna be. Like, well, we have to try it. Yeah, no, we're gonna try it. Like, no problem. And like some of the people at the gym, same thing. Like, oh, gotta go to the tasting. I go, stop. I go, this is gonna be at a pretty nice place that's known for weddings. It's not at a golf course that's does some weddings. Like,
Right.
no matter what we end up with, the food's gonna be good. I
Right.
just know based on menu what the best option is. So we go down and it's me, her parents, and my mother. We sit down for like appetizers. I'm like, okay, yep, like fine. So first one that comes around is a vegan BLT. No need. You
Nope.
can just
Right in
I
the
didn't
trash.
didn't even try it.
Yeah. Nope. I'm
Actually,
good.
it's like I didn't even pull a Ron Swanson like the vegan bacon. Oh, can I have some? Throw it away.
Yeah, it's your
That was
trash.
delicious. Can I have more? Trash. Um, so some super disappointments though. Like there was a jerk chicken egg roll. So bland, dude.
Oh,
Like
really?
I'm like I was like looking forward to that. I'm like
Yeah.
that sounds good. Like
Yeah.
I'm fucking I was like 90% sure like that was going to be it.
Yeah.
Not good.
Ah, that's tough.
Yeah, it was just like this does not bring it.
Yeah.
Um Truthfully off the top of my head I forget what we're going with. Like it'll be good, don't worry. But um I do remember some of the stuff we're not going with. Like we're going to have like we're not going to go like we're not going to double up. So like scallops are going to be one of the entrees. Like we're not going to offer up scallops
Yeah.
again. One of the things was the octopus salad, yo seven
Yeah.
fishes, which I tried it. It's good. And I think Michaela's mother had some too. She's like, what do you think? I go, it's good, but we're not offering this. She's like, I agree. I'm like, listen, it tastes good. I like Kalamata olives. Like, I don't mind red onion, but like, who the fuck is gonna eat an octopus salad like in a shot glass with
Yeah.
raw red onions at a fucking wedding?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one.
Right.
Get rid of this.
Is this like the hors d'oeuvres kind of get walked
Yeah.
around
So
during like the cocktail hour?
yeah. So during cocktail hour, there'll be like some past hors d'oeuvres. We'll probably do a station,
Okay.
raw bar, whatever.
Yeah.
um, but you know, we're sitting there and it's like I was hungry when we got there, and I'm like, okay, that's like pretty good. I know we still have to eat. So then they like open up the fucking thing, and it's like, all right, well, let's go sit for dinner. And I'm like, okay, sitting. Like I kind of already was sitting. Okay,
Yeah.
let's head over here now. And it's like big fucking thing of bread. It's like, don't need this. Like, we're
Yeah,
at
I'm
a
all
tasting.
set.
We don't need bread.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who the fuck's gonna eat rolls? Like, so then they put three salads on the plate. One is like a mixed, I think it was like a mixed with blue cheese and whatever. The middle one was a burrata, and then the third one was like a romaine balsamic something or other. And I'm like, how many are we picking? She goes, one. I go, okay, fine. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right, well, the burrata's good, but like, who wants to eat this much cheese before a wedding? I go, so that one's out. I go, that's the best tasting, but it's out.
Yeah.
And then the romaine, someone's like, I'm like, well, like before we even ate it, I go, the romaine's out. They go, what do you mean? I go, look at it. The like head of romaine just like chopped down the middle.
Yeah.
So like all the leaves are still attached to like the
Yeah.
end. I
Right.
go, this is a pain in the ass. No, this is out. Like, no way. I don't give a fuck how good it tastes. No. Like, cut the fucking leaves. Make it a
Yeah.
fucking salad. You gave me half a fucking heart of romaine and said, like, hey, figure it out. I was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever, pick the salad. And we have like our menu, and it's like they're gonna give us like they're gonna come in waves, like two types of fish, two types of fish, two steaks, short ribs chicken. And it's like, all right, well, this is gonna be like small because it's a shitload of food. That's 8 entrees.
Right.
They were like, I mean, they were small, but like they were like fairly substantial. So I forget what the first one that came was. I think it was a halibut with God knows what and scallops with God knows what. And have you ever eaten halibut?
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't know how it's supposed to be presented.
Is it whitefish?
It is white,
Yeah.
but it's a nicer white. Like it's not cod. So I don't know how halibut is supposed to be prepared, presented, but like it felt undercooked. So I don't know if it's supposed to become, I don't know if it's supposed to come out as like medium.
Yeah.
It just felt like slimy. So I don't know about like, so again, I don't know enough about halibut. I just know that that wasn't good.
Yeah.
Scallops are good, no problem. And then it's like, here's some cod, here's some swordfish. And I think like Joe even was like, I'm just gonna like move some stuff around, but I'm not eating any of this. He goes, we have too much shit to eat. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
just make it look like I picked at it. Um, in before we, my predictions were the ribeye, the scallops. Those look like the best dishes, both in terms of sides and options. I go, they definitely like cook the best.
Hmm.
And I'm like, those are going to be my predictions. And then we got the menu and I'm like, yep, they're both here. And then we got to the tasting and we were tasting both of them. And I'm like, it's going to be these two. I already know it.
Right.
Scallops were awesome. So then comes the filet and the ribeye. And this is like the third of our entree. So we've already eaten the appetizers. We've already had our salads. Like,
Yeah.
we've already had 4 options of fish. People are losing steam. Now, I'm a trash bag and I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew I was eating the whole filet and the whole ribeye. Like I
Right.
knew it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um and like don't get me wrong, like they were good. And the only disappointing part about a ribeye when they are cooking at scale in a like a venue type setting, you're not getting like a real ribeye. You're getting a
Right.
center cut ribeye.
Yeah.
So it's like they cut out like some of the fat, like perimeter, and they try to make it look like a fillet, even though it's not a fillet. And I don't
Yeah.
want it to be a fillet, so it's thick like one. So it was a center cut ribeye. I really wish it wasn't, but that's what they make.
Right.
They don't make what I'm looking for.
Right.
Um, so I ate both. It's the ribeye. Like the ribeye just tastes better. Like
Yeah,
that's it. That's all there is to it.
right. Ribeye is the dominant
And my
cut.
mother's like, well, and I think everyone agreed with me. They like the ribeye just tastes better. And my mother was like, oh, I kind of like this one. I'm like, the filet? She goes, yeah, it was cooked more. My mother doesn't eat shit medium. She eats shit like fucking well done.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
goes, yeah, I like that one, the one that was actually cooked. I go, yeah, no, this opinion does not fucking count. And I'm like, what about taste? She goes, I don't know. This one was, I go, okay, good. She's also having a tough time. Like, I don't know the last time she's seen that much food put in front of her. Um, and like and then she was like, she goes, oh, well, I'm like, she goes, because our organizer came over and told us, oh, one more entree, then the steaks came out, but the little menu thing had the chicken and the short ribs. And
Yeah,
my mother's like, oh, I'm surprised they're not going to bring chicken. I go, oh, are you very concerned with the chicken? I go, you just, yeah, I go,
yeah,
you don't know what it's going to be. You might want the chicken.
yeah, yeah.
I go, I can tell you one thing, we ain't getting the chicken. She goes, well, I just think it's weird that they wouldn't bring it out. I go, I think the organizer just misspoke. She didn't know where we were at in the
Right, right,
thing. I go, they're probably bringing it. They gave it to us on this stupid card, like
right.
whatever. So because everything they did too, they brought out a full size portion of the plate to show us what it was, and then took it away, and that's like staff was eating that and everything.
Right.
And I go, well, here you go, Ma. Chicken's coming. Hope you like it. She's like, I don't know if I can eat anymore. I go, well, you were asking about that chicken. It's coming.
Yeah, here it
So
is.
naturally, I ate all the short ribs too. That was a second call. Because I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to eat anymore. I ate all the short ribs. Those are delicious too.
Yeah.
But uh I did not like what it came with. Because I did leave the
Was it like
door open.
risotto or something super
No,
rich?
no, it wasn't. It was probably like shit. I don't even know, but it was probably like fucking like wilt like sauteed spinach and like
Ugh.
something random.
Yeah.
And it was like that's kind of what did it for me. It was like if it was mashed potatoes and asparagus, like you got to consider that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still think the sides on the ribeye because there's like a potato and like I think it's potatoes and then like a corn succotash or something. It was good. Like it was really good. So ultimately, like I didn't in the back of my head, I was like the short ribs could surprise us, but the sides didn't hold enough. So I was right. I have superior food thoughts and food knowledge. I'm the best. Should have been a
So it's the
chef.
two options. It's the scallops or the
Yeah, I
ribeye.
mean there'll be ravioli. There'll be a ravioli for anyone that's fucking weird or doesn't
Yeah.
whatever. It's like the vegetarian is like the ravioli.
Yeah. Yeah. Sick. Did you do desserts too, or just
Fuck. So I am not a dessert guy.
right?
I very rarely eat it, order it. More likely to pick at it if it's like around at like a house, but like it's
Right.
very rare for me to order from a restaurant. Also, I don't get a lot of leeway here because I'm lactose intolerant.
It's true.
So there's a lot of reasons. I'm just not a dessert guy. So they put everything out on a table and you could like go pick, choose, whatever.
Okay.
Um, I don't think we're gonna do plated dessert. Um, I think we can do a Sunday bar. And I
Yeah, I
think
feel like that's
that's
the way to go, right? Because it's like once people eat everything, because you figure too, I think I mean, we've been to a bunch of weddings recently, right, over the last few years, but I think like the common thing now is to not do a plated dessert, right? Because you
yeah.
have the cocktail
Because
hour.
after dinner, people want to get
People are
fucking moving.
exactly. People are like mingling, whatever. You do the hors d'oeuvres, you have the thing, then you sit down for dinner. They bring the salad, they bring the entree, they bring whatever else is on the list of things to bring out. And it's like, okay, I'm good. Like, just let me grab dessert on my own. Right. Like
Yeah.
I wanna go do stuff, whether that
Yeah.
be dance or drink or mingle or whatever it is. You
Yeah.
just want to
Smoke a
do
cigar, whatever.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
again, because in that, like, that was the thing that always pisses me off about weddings. Like, if it's plated, it's like, okay, well, make sure you sit here and wait for your dessert. It's like, bro, I'm not going to eat that fucking thing anyway.
Right. Right.
Like, I just picked one because it's more work for me to explain to you that you don't need to bring me a plate
Right.
than it is to just say the chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Do they offer any late night stuff?
yes, TBD, because I
You don't want to call
think
Domino's?
so I think so Michaela and I gotta just like look at and consider what we want to do because like they do like a late night thing, but there's also the after party.
Oh,
So
right.
we do have a later like ceremony. So I don't know if we need like a late night
Right.
something and an after party something. I think that's too much food.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's probably fair.
it's gonna be too tight to each other.
Yeah.
I think we will have something at the after party because got to imagine dinner doesn't start till fucking 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone's coming, fucking don't show up hungry. Like not eat again, not eat until 8 or so.
Yeah.
Plan ahead,
Yeah.
but something like
All
that.
right.
So yeah, tasting was good. I was right again. It's hard being this smart.
It's tough.
It's exhausting at times.
You don't even
Why
need a brain chip.
it's why I don't even have it's like it's why I'm lacking energy sometimes. The burden of being right all the time. It's
Yeah, it's
it's it's
tough.
hard sometimes.
That's a tough one. Yeah. All right. So, well, with my final thought, I will bring up the new piece or entry or whatever you want to call it into the golf world. Anyone that golfs, you know of Kirkland balls, the allure, right? If everyone's like, "Oh, Kirkland, they're made in the same factory as Titleist. They're the same thing as Pro V1s."
Yeah,
Thankfully,
hey,
to
they are
My Golf
fucking
Spy,
not.
yeah, shout out to My Golf Spy. Um, Go check them out if you golf. If you do anything golf related, just check them out. They're a fantastic company. I can't say enough good things about them. They do a bunch of like consumer reviews and they're actually golf people doing the reviews. Like they're just great. And then come to find out, thanks to them, Kirkland balls are not even close remotely to Pro V1s, but whatever, right? That's been the allure for years. Oh yeah, just buy your balls at Costco. It's the same thing as Pro V1s, whatever. Well, Kirkland, the again with the esteemed Kirkland golf ball, has now created clubs. So now they offer you can buy Kirkland brand Costco golf clubs that only come right-handed. They come with I forget, I think it's the lambkin um velvet grip. It only comes from 4-iron to
Probably
pitching
pitch and
wedge.
wedge.
Yeah, four to pitch. They come with a steel shaft. I
I
forget what
forget
brand.
I
I think it's
forget the
is it True Temper
I
maybe?
forget the brand, but it's 115. So I don't
And
know if it's a dynamic gold 115 or what.
yeah, so there you have it. You can get Costco brand golf clubs now. That again, as the aforementioned My Golf Spy company, is putting them to the test to see how they hold up and their specs and all that stuff. So TBD to see how they perform. But they're also blades. So I mean, good luck.
Are they actual blades or
Oh,
they
truthfully, I didn't I didn't look.
Because they might be like P790s.
Yeah, now that you say that, I think I saw a picture of them next to the P790s.
Because P790s like kind of look like blades, but they like definitely aren't blades.
Yeah. So it was My Golf Spy actually posted a picture of the Kirkland signature versus the TaylorMade P790. So they look like blades, but they're not. So we'll see. Like I said, TBD. They just got them today. The folks over at My Golf Spy. So they got them today. They'll be testing them. They'll be running all kinds of stuff. And then I'm sure they will report out what they find. But kind of cool, kind of interesting, kind of funny. Just one of those quirky little things that, again, if you're not in the golf world, then you don't get it, right? Which whatever, it's fine. But just for the longest time, it's the Kirkland golf ball. Everyone, you just like, oh, Kirkland golf ball. Now they have clubs. So your favorite place, shout out to Costco, coming up with all kinds of stuff. Oh, the best thing I forgot, they're only $500. So you get the full set for $500. Again, shout out to Costco. But unfortunately for you, they only come right-handed.
I'm not
So
buying fucking Costco golf clubs.
oh, why not?
Well, I'm fit for my fucking clubs that cost more than $500. So I don't think I'm going to buy clubs with a shaft weight that I don't use, with a shaft type that I don't use, out of a fucking box at a Costco.
Well, okay.
I think I'll play the clubs that I play
Yeah,
and
but I
can
think that's
actually
probably a
in
good idea.
clubs that I can get fit for, and or I could demo, or I could find some info about.
Yeah.
Never mind, it's going to be interesting when my golf spy goes, yeah, the lofts and lies kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So,
other than that, I mean, they'll probably hit fine, for the right person.
right.
But you want to buy that shit blind off the shelf, then like go nuts.
Right.
You might hit them fine, you might hit them like shit.
Right.
And that's what like some people are like, oh, well, I got them and they're great. Well, maybe they're a great fit for you.
Yeah. Could be.
They won't be a great fit for me.
Well, just for starters, yeah, because you're not
Even if they
right.
had left-handed.
Yeah, I
Even
was
if they
gonna
had
say.
left-handed. The construction of the club is not my fucking style of club.
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
for the life of me, I could not hit fucking P790s.
Right. Right.
Unless it wanted to feel like I was hitting a fucking cinder block every time.
Yeah. So there you have it. Fun thing to keep an eye out for. I'll report back whenever we get the
Don't buy your
findings.
clubs at Costco.
Yeah, just don't.
Just don't.
Yeah.
It's a fucking downgrade.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say most of the time.
If you're the person that's going to be like, oh, wow, Costco has golf clubs, I'm going to go buy them right now, it's probably a downgrade.
Yeah. Unless you have like, your grandfather's set or your uncle.
Yeah, that's my thing.
You
But
know what I
like
mean?
now,
Like,
but why now? Like if you're playing like fucking Silver Scots,
yeah.
what it was $500 from Costco. That's what made you do it.
Right.
I can get you to spend less than 500, and I can get you better clubs,
Right.
guaranteed.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what they find. So on that note, that's going to do it for us. So thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to click the subscribe button up top. Smash the like button down below. If you're an audio only listener, you can subscribe wherever you're at, whatever platform you're on. That would be great. And then also, if you happen to use Spotify or Apple, go over, leave us 5 stars and a review. Also would be incredible. Would appreciate that. You can get us on Twitter at sarcasm_speaks. Instagram is at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. The website, sarcasmspeaks.com. Obviously, we have the merch store. And then also, you guys can support the sponsors in the show notes. They're all listed below with their promo codes that'll get you all kinds of money and deals and all kinds of stuff like that. So go support them below. So that is going to do it for us. Until next time, good night, everybody.